Have you ever heard the sentence, never apologize for who you are? Raise your hand if you have. A few years back, when I was in 7th grade, I was the #1 fan of that sentence. It made me feel good and strong, and as if there was nothing that could defeat me. If someone didn't like something about me, they were welcome to just leave. I'm not changing. This is who I am. But who here thinks they're 100% perfect? That there's absolutely nothing they need to improve on? Clearly, not most of us. So why are we told not to apologize? As if whatever I am doing, it's okay. If it's being who I am, the consequences don't matter. That philosophy led to that 7th grade Elisa. The Elisa who had that attitude. Until I started to realize that instead of presenting me as strong, not being able to apologize for who I was instead revealed a sign of weakness. So I'm from Chile. In case you don't know where that is, it's right there on the map, right above every tectonic plate there can be. I've lived there my whole life and I love it. Yes, with earthquakes and everything. But for some personal reasons, I came to do my senior year to the US. And as I was telling you, the Elisa you see right now, it's very different from the one you would have met if I would have come here in 2013. I'm not proud of that period of my life, but I hope it can help you understand what I'm trying to say. During those years of my life, saying something like, sorry, I can't help it, that's just who I am, was my usual response whenever I had not acted nicely to someone. I never did something to directly hurt someone, thank God, but back at home, indifference is a pretty common thing among teenagers. So that is what I would do. Being indifferent means acting as if the people around you don't exist, as if they're not important enough for you to care about. So during those days, if I had a bad morning, I would spend the whole day pushing people away, giving one-word responses, or not even looking at them in the eye when they were talking to me. Always with the excuse, this is who I am, I can't help it. But now I see that and I say to myself, are you kidding? What do you mean by I can't help it? I am the owner of my thoughts, my actions, and my words. I choose what to say and what to do. So yes, of course I can help it. As I said, the never apologize for who you are idea was part of our lives in those moments. It was something that me and the people around me back home really stood up for and defended. Why? Because in part, it had helped us. At first, it gives an encouraging message. It encourages you to be yourself and to not to be afraid of doing things differently than others or being different than others. It tells you to be who you are, wear what you want, love who you want, and do what makes you happy. And as girls who felt like everyone was judging all the time, that is exactly the message that we wanted to hear. But then there's a second message in that philosophy, which says that we are always right, that whatever we do, that's just who we are, no need to apologize. It's a stage that, in my opinion, is a bit self-centered and can lead us to not think of others nor the consequences of our actions. Because where does that leave the ability to improve on ourselves? Or the being able to leave our pride aside and acknowledge that we can be wrong? So if I'm hurting people with my attitudes, is it okay if that is being who I am? I don't think so. The 7th grade Elisa had that issue. What made me wake up and realize that I had the power to measure my actions and my words was a series of events that made death seem as something closer and real. I couldn't stand the idea of leaving this world and being remembered as someone who was indifferent or intimidating, or that made people feel as if they were not important. I now know that life can end any minute, so that it is now the time to improve on myself. But as teenagers, we tend to feel invincible sometimes, as if those bad things would never happen to us, so it actually took a while for that to enter my mind. But by realizing how fragile life is, I woke up to the reality that if I want to change, it is now the moment to do it. One of my teachers from back home would always say to us, "This is a time for you to find out who you want to be and work for it." She believes that as teenagers, we have the time to try things and discover who we are and what we want. But yet, we tend to say, "This is who I am," and not do anything more about that, without questioning if that's really what we want, nor thinking of the impact we have on others. So it's like we make a box and say, "This is who I am," and we start throwing away everything that doesn't fit for us, or that doesn't fit the title that we put to our box. For example, when I was younger, I think my box was titled cool. That means that I would throw in all those attitudes that cool people have and throw away everything that wasn't, never acknowledging the consequences of those attitudes or asking myself if that was really the person I wanted to be. But we are so young, and yet we trap ourselves in these boxes with titles. My box in 7th grade was so different and empty compared to what it is now because I hadn't started to work on myself. All because I realized that my box had filled with attitudes that I didn't want them to represent me, and that I care about more than just being cool. I understand that we want to have a box that represents us. It gives us the feeling that we fit in somewhere. But what happens then with changing or improving or realizing what's out there in the world, or as I've been saying, what will happen to the ability to look at what you have in your box and throw things away if you realize that they're not doing any good? Changes like this are scary, I know, but I say, do things that don't always fit with your box. Get a bigger box. Take the risk. If I hadn't expanded my box, I would have never met people that have taught me so much today. Because of my indifference, I was perceived as intimidating for the younger girls in my school. So I would have never met my daughters. No, they're not actually my daughters. It's just the way we call it. They became my daughters when they were in 7th grade and I was in 10th. It's called a community, and I am the boss or the chief. But that sounds too like an authority in English, so I translated as mom. I left my Chilean school as an 11th grader. So for those 2 years, we would meet every week, once a week. We laughed, talked, reflected, discussed, and prayed, since my school back at home is religious. We bonded, and we really learned and were there for each other. Nowadays, they are still meeting every week with their other mom, and I can't wait to continue the amazing journey I've started with them as soon as I get back. We have become a family, and I try to teach them and guide them as much as I can. And at the same time, they teach me constantly. This is one of the many things I've gained because I expanded my box. I know that with my old attitude, I would have never met them. And knowing that I can guide them and help them avoid certain mistakes, or at least be with them and support them when they make their own ones, has filled my internal box in incredible ways. So you never know what you could be passing up if you don't step outside and see. So when you recognize you did something wrong, that you hurt someone, that you've had an attitude for years that has made people feel as if they're not important, or any other discomfort you could have caused, feel free to apologize for who you are. Hopefully, by apologizing, you'll learn and grow. You'll be making a change, yes, but a good change. Take a look at your box sometimes. Is it really small? Is it empty? It's not too late to get a new one, or make it bigger, fill it with new things, or maybe even throw it away completely. Be who you are, but be the best version of you by acknowledging the impact that you have on others and that you can always improve on yourself. Apologizing for who you are does not make you weak. It makes you strong.